Views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Well, hello there and welcome to the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast. I'm John Engelman. Appreciate you joining us. Today we hear from Corey McCain and Reese Roberts of the Leverett Lounge and the soon-to-be Sidecar in Fayetteville. But first, food news. Chef Aaron Walters is finally getting to do something that's been in the works forever-ish. He's going to open Muselet Champagne Bar, and it's going to be in the space of the former Bentonville Provisions. Here's what it'll look like.
This is going to be a champagne bar. We're going to have probably 30 plus by the glass options, most of that being sparkling wine, most of that being true champagne. We're going to have sparkling from all over the world, but our main focus is going to be champagne. And
yes, there will also be food.
So I had my original idea was, small plates curated that things that pair with sparkling wine. Anything you can French fry, we're going to French fry, potatoes, parsnips, carrots, what have you. Do some vegetable tempura. Fried chicken is a huge thing. So fried chicken and champagne, one of my favorite food pairings. And I actually was able to pick up a couple of pressure fryers. So we kind of shifted the focus a little bit. So now we're going to really lean into fried chicken from around the world.
The closing of Sweet Freedom Cheese left us all sad when it happened, but it also created a void. That void will be filled shortly. The Bloom Cheese Collective will be opening in Fayetteville this spring. As owner Allie K. Hammer Cameron tells us, it's much more than a cheese shop.
My husband, Brooks, is a chef, and so he's going to have a lot of pull as to our menu and kind of the food that we put out, our pop-up dinners. And then my experiences and where my heart lies is in the cheese case and the cheese shop. So we're kind of trying to bring our worlds together, and we really want to encourage anyone we work with, whether it's another chef or cheesemakers or anything like that. We want it to be inspiring and beneficial and helpful to not just us, but the community and the other small businesses we work with.
The storied Maxine's Taproom in Fayetteville is celebrating their 75th birthday next Tuesday. They're celebrating with music, cake. KUAF's going to be there to get your stories about Maxine's. There will be a live painting. Crisis Brewing is brewing a special lager for the event with $1 from each pint going to Maxine's Legacy Scholarship Fund. An Onyx coffee shop will be opening up at X&A. It'll be a pre-security spot downstairs, and according to the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, the contract's for 10 years with X&A keeping 10% of sales as rent. Onyx is investing $500,000 into the new location. According to the Fayetteville Flyer, Confident Coffee will be opening an additional new spot, and it'll be at the Stage Station at the corner of Rolling Hills Drive and Old Missouri Road in Fayetteville. Owner Amber Dietrich told the Flyer that if all went well, they'd be open by August 1st. More coffee news, this time in Bell Vista. Participant will serve coffee, beer, and food. Now, it's named Participant for a reason. On their website, it says that great places don't happen by accident. They're built by people who participate. If you go to their website, you can sign up to be a founding member. They're in discussions right now to secure a location. According to the Rogers Chamber, there's a Bonchon Chicken moving into Rogers on Green Acres next door to the subway and a building over from where Boulder Coffee is. I got the heads up from the great Maria Lanning. If you're not following her, do so. Instagram, at The Good Life NWA. It's at The Good Life NWA. She always knows everything. Great news from Christine and Richard at the Fat Chef in Prairie Creek. They're reopening on Friday. They say the sports bar and lounge will be built in the near future. The popular Thai Spice in Fayetteville will be opening another location this Saturday in Springdale. It's at 1120 Matthias in the building that used to be the Big Chicken, and before that, Rib Crib. Yeah, you know the one. They open at 11 a.m., and each table will have the choice of free veggie spring rolls, pork egg rolls, or fried dumplings. Congrats to Rein Sushi Hibachi in downtown Springdale. Last week, they celebrated their one-year anniversary, and they're continuing to kill it. We had a great podcast with them on December the 12th. Do me a favor, go check it out. The Cave Barber Shop on Emma in downtown Springdale will have a new neighbor, but the same owner. I talked with owner Krista Pacheco yesterday, and the Blind Bear is going to be opening later this spring. I got a tour of the place, and the drywall is going to be going up this week. It'll be a craft cocktail bar with shuffleboard. Now, they won't have food, but you're certainly welcome to bring yours in. And finally, some sad news to report. Tacos for Life in Springdale has closed for good. The note on the door thanked the residents of Springdale for supporting Tacos for Life and the over 1.1 million meals that the people in the area helped raise from that location for the Feed My Starving Children charity. You can still go to Tacos for Life in Fayetteville and Rogers. Leverett Lounge is owned and run by local restaurant veterans / husband and wife team Corey McCain and Reese Roberts. You want to hear how Corey won over Reese after she rebuffed him, but it's not as epic as their wedding, which they will talk about. Speaking of Maxine's owners, Hannah Withers and Ben Gitchell, started and owned the place a good while, but then sold to Corey and Reese. You'll hear the story behind that. And the recipes, the KFC, the Mel's Diner, the "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die." That's a menu item, and there's more. Also, they're starting a bar underneath Cafe New Orleans called Sidecar. They'll give us the lowdown on that. A few quick notes on this one. I was sitting by a wall, so it's a little echoey coming from me. I should have known better, obviously. Also, the kitchen gets loud towards the end of the interview, as they should, so be prepared. They certainly were getting prepared. Finally, just a little explicit language in this one, but nothing my wife hasn't heard. We talked to Corey and Reese of Leverett Lounge. That's next, right here on The Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
And welcome back. We are at Leverett Lounge here in Fayetteville. Reese Roberts, Corey McCain. Guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Welcome to the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas. I want to kick it off with the announcement you guys had earlier. It's about the Sidecar. The Sidecar is, it's coming. And it's something that you guys have been planning for a while. I know you've mentioned the location and everything. Tell me a little bit about the Sidecar.
So it started quite a while ago.
Yeah.
We originally, Trey and I, in 2019, had an idea for a kind of like a hot Southern cuisine with cocktails, and we tried to pursue that.
And for folks that don't know, this is Trey Fincher.
Trey Fincher, yes.
This is a top 30 U.S. bartender.
Currently, and
how about
hopefully
that?
top 10 soon. We'll see.
Absolutely right. Please continue. I didn't interrupt.
So in 2019, him and I kind of got together, and we wanted to do something on our own. And we looked at the spot currently where now it's Hot's Nashville Hot Chicken. Is that right?
Yeah.
It used to be the Hip Cafe. We looked at that spot in 2019, and about that time, he ended up getting a position at Fox Trail Distillery, and I ended up moving up at the time as an executive chef at Bordino's.
Okay.
So we kind of fizzled out. We had a business plan put together, and we were kind of working towards that. And then once we got those jobs, and then COVID hit and all that stuff.
So how long ago was that? That's been a while.
February of 2019 is when we started talking about that.
Okay.
And so whenever we saw the location open up here, I came to Reese, and it was late. I kind of was like,
bed.
"Hey, hear me out." That's usually how it starts, honestly.
Let me ask you this.
Every time. But the space is always really important to us.
Yeah.
As far as like we tend to build out an idea for a space instead of the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And We worked with Chris at Hat Rack Real Estate, so we looked at a few other locations and had some other concepts that we were just ready for something.
Yeah, we didn't know quite what it was yet. And then when that space, I saw the for lease sign in that space, I was like, light bulb. Trey was kind of in transition, and we were ready to do something, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. And I was like, hey, what do you think about doing a cocktail lounge and asking if Trey wants to do it with us? And that was kind of the I guess the hinge pin of if he wanted to do it or not.
Sure.
You know, and fortunately he said yes, so
That's a plus.
here we are.
So what was it about the spot when you saw it where you thought, okay, this is it?
Well, the Highway Inn lot is has just been, it's just like iconic. It sticks in everybody's mind.
Yeah.
For anybody that's lived here for a while. We love Cafe Rue and Maudie.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of plans for that area of town. We know that we aren't really as interested in spaces downtown or in the entertainment district as much.
Right.
Because every time we think about opening a new spot, it's like, how do we make this for the locals, for the folks that live here 12 months out of the year? And I think that there's this void in Midtown. There are several spots where you can like go and grab a bite to eat, but there's not as many like just gathering spaces that
Gotcha.
are,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
definitely no cocktail bars to hang out
Yeah.
in and listen to vinyl in.
Well, and, you know, when you talk about downtown and everything, then you got to worry about parking and things
For sure,
like that.
yeah.
So this kind of works in favor there.
We spent, you know, I've pretty much spent my entire life in and around Dixon Street, and it has changed a lot just over, you know, the 25 years that I've been around it.
Sure.
And, we spent plenty of time on Dixon Street being from Bordino's, and we both spent over a decade at Bordino's.
You'll still
then-
catch us at Brewski's and Maxine's every now and
That's
again.
true.
Like we
Sure.
still come down and we'll support and stuff,
You
but
bet.
as a local, it's harder to. You have to check the calendar
Yeah.
Yeah.
and see what's going on, and
Right.
so we know that there was a need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
and that space just seemed like it was the perfect distance away from the entertainment district, kind of in the middle of town a little bit. There's tons of neighborhoods and stuff around there
Sure.
that there was a gap in the market, and we knew that Maudie wasn't doing any liquor. She does beer and wine, and you know, it just seemed like the right space.
Sure.
And we have a trend to pick very small locations.
It's been the joke.
We do
I
live
mean,
in a.
but you're focused on every square foot,
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
You can
It is a fun
maximize
challenge,
it.
yeah.
For sure.
try to make the best out of a small situation.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We live in 912 square feet
Okay.
with a kid.
Okay. There you
Yeah,
go.
and 2 cats.
And the lounge is about, it's almost exactly the same size as Sidecar. It's 1,100 and something square feet. Sidecar is 1,150 square feet. So we're kind of used to small.
That's giant.
Small means, you know, less overhead and
Sure.
easier to fill up quick
Yeah.
and be busy, and
Yeah.
we've always just kind of gravitated towards small little, for lack of a better term, hole in the wall.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
It could be because we served fine dining to like 250 seats on football weekends for a while.
Yeah, large,
You know?
a very
we
large
did that.
place.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We tend to
good
like
learning
the smaller crews. You know, more of a tight knit kind of situation. It feels more like you're hanging out with your friends than
Sure.
you know, 60 acquaintances.
Right. I used to tend bar in a place right across the street from a football stadium in another state, and Saturdays were absolute hell.
Yes.
But you'd make rent in
Right.
6 hours.
Yes.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it had its pluses and minuses, but at the end of the day, you need a squeegee just to go over your body.
God.
just
I can only
because-
imagine.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Absolutely crazy. So you guys are still hiring, right?
We are hiring for Sidecar, and actually we're hiring for the lounge too for
Oh,
a couple
good.
of things.
Okay.
But yes, we're still hiring for Sidecar. We're probably about to start doing some interviews. I know we've done.
We're scheduling interviews for the last 2 weeks of March. Our opening date got pushed back a little bit.
Okay.
There's been so many personal things going on in our lives, and then just the ABC permitting process. There's just a point where if you miss a deadline, you're back a whole month.
By a month.
Yeah. Right. Totally get it. Get it.
But it leaves us time to refine everything and make sure things are getting done.
Sure.
The way we want them done.
So you had mentioned earlier that you've been around Dixon Street your whole life. Are you guys originally both from the area?
No, originally I'm from Oklahoma.
Okay.
A little town called Choctaw outside of Oklahoma City. I moved up here with my mother when I was 10. My brother and my sister and me and her, and originally she opened a small cafe on Dixon Street in
which
1998.
One? Okay.
It was called Crystal Star Cafe.
Okay.
It was right next to the old Flying Possum.
Okay.
So now Bugsy's. I think now it's a sushi restaurant. I'm not real sure which one. Maybe Sushi 101 or Tokyo or something like that.
Yeah.
Didn't last very long. That was kind of right when Dixon Street was transitioning from bookshops and coffee shops to bars.
Nightlife.
Really, nightlife.
Yeah.
And, she had kids at home. She didn't want to stay up late and be without us. So they ended up closing down. It was probably right around a year, I would say. And then that's when she started managing Brewskis on Dixon Street.
Okay, sure.
And that was in early 2000 or late 99 is when they started doing all the work for it, and mid 2000s when they kind of opened.
She went through Y2K with it, didn't she?
Yeah, Y2K. Yeah. So yeah, she's.
I'm so old. Sorry.
She's still there. She's been
nice.
there since the beginning, and she's been running it for 25 years.
That's
now,
great.
Ish.
Yeah, good for her.
So yeah, I grew up on Dixon Street. From the time I moved to town, we lived over by Wilson Park, and I would literally bike from Wilson Park to Dixon Street to go have a sandwich at my mom's restaurant, and then go back to the house and hang out in Wilson Park.
Back when you could do those things.
Back when a 10-year-old could ride their bike for several miles by themselves.
By the way, not an indictment of Fayetteville at all. I'm just talking about general life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old now that I barely let out of my sight. So
Of course. I understand that. Reese, what about you?
I grew up in Texas, actually.
Ooh, where?
I spent a lot of time in Tyler, Texas, and then about 8th grade-ish, we moved to Big Sandy, Texas.
Okay.
Which you've never heard of, I'm sure. Have you?
Oh, I have.
Oh, you
that was
I'm originally from Texas, but I covered a lot of high school football back in the day.
Oh, yeah, well, that was
There you
a
go.
thing for Big Sandy.
East Texas.
Yeah.
East Texas football.
Beast Texas is what they call it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I graduated with 33 people in Big Sandy, Texas, and had the U-Haul packed before I went to graduation, and I was like, I'm out of here, y'all.
Yeah.
My dad lives in Little Rock, so spent that summer in Little Rock. Came up here for architecture school, and then changed my major I don't know how many, probably 15 times. I think I have 130 credit hours in just random everything from early childhood ed to English lit to architecture. And my parents were restaurant people, so I've always kind of been I've always been bussing tables or hosting during the summer or whatever. So I started working at Bordino's when I was 20.
Cash in the pocket.
Yeah.
Growing up, that's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to run that frugality at Park Plaza Mall in Little Rock over the summers, and just
nice.
They'd always need summer help, and I just work, as many days as they would give me back then.
Yeah, that's great.
So kind of worked all over the place. Was going to school and started working at Bordino's, and whenever right before I turned 20.
Okay, so it was Bordino's for you. Once you moved here, that's where you started in Northwest Arkansas.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, all right. You're sticking with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sticking with it.
All right. And so that's where you guys met.
Yeah.
Oh, please tell the story. I love, there's nothing better than good dating at work stories.
So I actually originally started at Bordino's right out of high school. I was 18, started as a dishwasher in 2005.
Nice.
I worked for a couple of years under Chef Chrissy and Joe Fennell.
Yeah.
Two amazingly awesome people. And I ended up leaving there 2009 to late 2008, something like that.
Right before I started.
And sorry.
You're good.
Ended up leaving, bouncing around Dixon Street, and I worked at several different bars and restaurants, and Farrell's, Hammond Trees, Riley's.
All the places.
All of the places,
Yeah.
obviously.
You had to dot the street, dot the map.
My mom was managing Brewski, so I worked there for a little bit, trying to get my bartender game up.
Nice.
Found out that bartending was not my thing.
I'm about to say, you've basically done everything.
Yeah,
You both probably have,
Yeah,
haven't you?
we really have
Pretty much.
kind of done pretty much everything. And then I moved away for a little while to Eureka Springs, tried to be an artist for a little bit.
Ooh, what kind of art?
I did all kinds of stuff, mostly canvas, and I did a
Nice.
lot of found object art. Did a lot of like lighting stuff
Nice.
like that. At the time, I was also doing lighting production
Okay.
for live stage
Yeah.
work. Really loved it, but ended up getting my girlfriend at the time pregnant. And so I had a child on the way, and the starving artist lifestyle wasn't going to pay those bills.
That dream died.
The dream died.
Nothing will motivate
pretty
a person.
epically, pretty quickly.
Nothing will motivate a person like an incoming child.
Yes.
Yes.
So I ended up moving back to Fayetteville. I had a friend that was working at Bordino's, and they needed some help, and I already knew how everything ran, and I'd already run pretty much every position there, and they kind of were like, hey, come help me. I was like, perfect, I need a job. So
Nice.
started back in 2015, or 2014, somewhere around there, 2014, 2015. And then worked my way up from just a line cook up to sous chef in just probably a little under a year or so.
Wow.
And then
That's quick.
yeah, well, I already kind of knew.
I know, but
Everything
still,
that was
that's quick. No
happening,
matter who
you
you
know.
are, that's quick.
And then ended up doing that position for several years, three or four or so probably. And then I think it was December of 2019.
Right on time.
I ended up taking over the executive chef position.
Excellent.
And then, of course, 2 months later, 3 months later, the world was turned upside down for every restaurant person in the
course.
United States. And
Of course.
across the world, really. So, yeah, that was my Bordino's experience.
I think you left out a big part of that Bordino's experience. Happens to be sitting to your left.
Well,
How did that happen?
We
We were friends for a
we
really
were
long
friends
time.
for a very long time.
That's how it starts.
She was my boss for most of it.
Stop it.
And still his boss.
Still, yeah, in life and also in everything I do.
I got one of those.
Some people need them,
Yeah,
just
I do.
keeps me on the right path. I'll just say that.
Mine's a fourth grade teacher. Perfect fit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we met there. I vaguely remember the first day that we met, and I was on the line and she was on the other side of the line, and just kind of shakingly put her hand out to handshake, and maybe there was some sort of connection there.
Did sparks just fly off the hands when you were shaking?
I don't know. He made me nervous for some reason. It took me a long time to figure out why. And I vaguely remember there being, I was dating someone at the time, and I was like, I don't know why this guy makes me nervous.
Yeah.
There was a point where we grabbed a beer with a bunch of people after work, and I looked up and he was looking at me, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
do not fall in love with me, Corey McCain. And he said, okay.
So no deal.
Yeah.
I will not do that.
Yeah.
That failed.
And then
Epically
that
fails.
relationship ended, and I remember we had become really good friends.
Yeah.
So I remember being like, I just want to like be somewhere comfortable. So I went over to his mom's house. Christy's a very comforting human. If anybody that knows her knows that for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And just came over to hang out. There were some people over there, and Corey walks out the front door, and Frankie, my stepdaughter now, has her fingers wrapped around, like learning how to walk, wrapped around his fingers, and he walked out the front door, and I was like, oh shit, that's what this has been the whole time. I didn't know until like that other relationship was fully ended, and I was like, oh,
Here we go.
that's what it was. That's why I was so nervous. Yeah.
Interesting.
It took me a while to.
Sure.
So we started dating in October,
Yeah.
and then
We got married in July.
we got
next
married
year,
in July of the
2017.
next year.
Yeah.
So 6-7
Not
months
wasting any
after.
time.
Also, another example of kids being a great motivator to like get it together.
Yeah,
so,
that's
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
We'd
sure.
probably just still be dating if there wasn't a little tiny human to care for.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting married 7/7/17.
Oh wow.
It was coming up. The date was coming up, and we were like, let's just be cool. So 7/7.
No,
Was
that's
it like
actually,
a Thursday?
Yeah, there wasn't a proposal. We were in the car driving somewhere, and I was like, hey, you know what we should do this summer? And he
This
goes,
just reeks of romance.
I know it's disgusting.
Yeah.
He goes, get married, and I was like, yeah, actually, that's
Shit.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steal right out of my mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no epic proposal or anything, but
No.
It's not really our style.
Yeah, I get it. That's funny.
So we had a pool party.
we had a pool party and got
We
married
got
at a
out
friend's
of the
house.
pool like 30, 45 minutes before it was time to say our vows. Bonnie, Aaron Von Felt was
Yeah.
Was our officiant.
officiant.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, and we had like a 10-minute ceremony and went to Bordino's and just had dinner.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah,
Oh,
Very
good.
chill, very much our
very
style.
small. Yeah.
Good.
And then we had an epic party at Christie's with a 100-foot slip and slide the next day,
That is true.
and
yeah,
a couple
I did
kegs, and I'm sure it was fun. We fell asleep on the couch at like 8 p.m. probably.
that. Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, we were beat, but
It was a lot of fun.
it was
awesome.
very fun.
What was not fun was COVID.
No,
No.
COVID was not fun.
Was not fun.
Do not recommend.
You don't recommend COVID?
No, 0 out of 10.
It's a 0 out of 10. I've had it a couple times, but it was very mild. I was very fortunate.
I have still not had it somehow, amazingly.
Yeah, I'm the only one that gets COVID at our house.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about Fayetteville IRA, because that's
yeah.
a big thing.
Yeah, so we were at Bordino's at the time. I was the GM. I've been the GM for about 5 years. I just helped Joe manage the sale to the new owners. I think they finalized that purchase in February of 2020.
February 3rd.
Right. February 3rd, yeah.
February 3rd,
You're
I
right.
remember it.
Wow.
Yeah, so brand new owners, and it just happened so fast. All of a sudden we had 0 people on the books, and I had already been hearing unemployment stories, just horror stories of people trying to get unemployment. So we decided to lay off 48 out of 60 staff members in 2 days in rounds of 5 with printouts of we need to do this as fast as possible so you can go in and get unemployment, and here's the directions, and call me if we can do anything. I don't even know what to do.
It's not like we've been in a pandemic before.
No.
No,
Right.
none of us, and that's what the pandemic really taught me. Nobody really knows what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a doer. You put a crisis in front of me, and that's how I process things. So I remember Chrissy Sanderson and Elliot Hunt and Hannah Withers and I just immediately ended up getting on the phone with each other. We were like, what are we supposed to do? We can feed people out of the walk-in, but how are these people going to pay their rent?
Yeah.
No one was getting their unemployment checks very
Yeah.
quickly. And
No.
so I called the Dixon Street Merchants Association because I was involved with that for a really long time, and I was like,
What do we
I
do?
called an attorney friend. I was like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
The Dixon Street Merchants helped us set up a trust, and we started fundraising and paying people's rent within 7 days.
Amazing. And you guys are still, you've grown quite a bit.
Yeah, we probably we've paid out over $110,000 at this point to
Unreal.
individuals in need,
It's
and that's
amazing.
just really crowdfunding people's rent.
Yeah.
To be honest, that first year in 2020, we had a ton of applications, and then it started to taper down. And really, actually, last year we were, we kind of just were taking the temperature. We were like, are we still relevant? Do we still need to be involved?
Yes.
And then the housing crisis caught up with us. We've already paid out more this year, just 2025, than the
Crazy.
entire year of 2024.
Unbelievable. It's called the Fayetteville Independent Restaurant Alliance.
Yes.
That's what Fayetteville IRA stands for. Where can folks go if they want to give?
You can go to fayira.org/donate.
Okay, perfect.
It's pretty easy peasy. You can set up some of our best donors, just sign up for like $10 a month.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, Hannah and Ben, the former owners of Leverett Lounge, you guys become familiar with them, and an opportunity may have arisen.
Yes, yeah. Hannah and I got really close during COVID.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other all that well before COVID hit, and then we got to know each other really well through the Restaurant Alliance and just trying to figure out how do we help people. And I think she's very much the same way. She's a doer. If a crisis hits, then she also jumps in and is like,
Yeah,
where do you want my hands? Yeah.
for sure.
We're gonna figure this out. I think that COVID showed them that they didn't really want to be in restaurants anymore. So she called me one day and she was like, I'm not really enjoying Leverett Lounge as much as it's not like feeding me like it used to.
Sure.
And I'm considering giving it up. And the first time Corey and I came in to eat at Leverett Lounge, we walked in and we kind of had this moment where this really looks like our house. I take Zoom calls at my house and people are like, oh, you're at the lounge. And I'm like, no, actually, this is
just how our house
also what
looks.
my house looks like. So whenever we first walked in, we got the giggles, honestly. We were like, this feels like our house.
Like, is
great.
this our living
Yeah.
room?
Yeah, that's great.
So we've always loved Leverett. It's where we always came for,
Yeah.
Whenever we got off work on a Tuesday night, we'd be like, let's go hit up Leverett.
Love it.
So I asked her just to give us a little time before she went out looking for a buyer, and we, managed to scoot in here, and it's a really great fit
Awesome.
for us. Yeah,
That's
we needed
awesome.
something smaller. We love the food and wine and the caliber of food and wine and drinks at a fine dining restaurant, but it's really not our style.
Yeah.
And I think we'd just gotten to the point where I felt like I had learned most of what I could learn running a restaurant for someone else, so we were really excited and ready to do something for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and heavy is the head that wears the crown. There's some responsibility when you take over a place like this, because it was at a level. It was your guys' favorite place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you got to maintain it at least.
There's magic there.
And it was lots of people's favorite place. We had heard of the lounge through several of our friends that had been here several times before we actually came over here, and
I think industry folks have a real appreciation for Levlo for the same reasons that we loved
Sure.
it. It's
Yeah.
approachable and fun, and
Yeah, and it's just you feel comfortable whenever you come in here. Our food and our cocktails are a little bit higher caliber than our standard, but we like to have fun with it, and you can tell by some of the names on our menus and
Which we'll get into here in a little bit.
the way we kind of prepare and
Yeah.
do things, but we really wanted it to be, and what it already kind of was very casual and very anybody and everybody can come in here.
Sure.
I think at the time my nicest piece of clothing was a chef jacket, so
Perfect.
being able to come in here even after work in a chef jacket or whatever and have dinner and nobody bat an eye about it was very comforting for us, being industry folks.
Plus, I think everybody has their spot. And when you have a place of this caliber and this size, you're everyone's spot quickly.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you fill out quick too with those. Most of the people I think that you guys get in here are people that you always see, I would think, for the most part.
Yeah, we have a really special. The clientele here is just very special and near and dear to our hearts. Honestly,
I would think there are a lot of regulars.
Yeah, there are a ton of regulars.
We do have a lot of regulars.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our fair share of folks that have never heard from us about us. We are a hole in the wall, you know. So up until just like a year or so ago, we didn't have much for signage either. Just a small little thing on the door. So we would have people all the time that are doing, laundry next door, and they walk in and go, I didn't even know this was here. I've been doing my laundry for 2 years next door. We still get a lot of, new folks coming in all the time, but we do have a great group of regulars and folks that come in.
That makes all the difference. All the difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and being the weird, quirky place, you attract a fun group of people.
Oh yeah, without question.
We always have fun in here.
Yeah, without question. And you guys probably didn't have to change much when you came here, anyway.
We honestly, the first year, I don't think we still have touched anything.
We've added some stuff.
We've added some things. We haven't taken away anything. We did do some stuff to the bathroom. The bathroom's always been really quirky, and we did some things in there. And
yeah, that was kind of out of necessity. It was like the wallpaper had gotten worn, and we had to up. It was time.
Yeah.
But there was already a lot of magic here, so that was kind of like the first conversation that we had about operations. We were like, we aren't really interested in touching the magic. Mm-hmm. I don't want to interfere with that. Yeah. So we moved really slow. We didn't even change the menu. I think we bought the restaurant in October, and we waited until pretty close to the end of the year to change the menu, even though
it was like
seasonally,
mid to late December.
It was kind of time.
Yeah.
And then we just were very intentional about how we made those changes. We tried to make sure we were listening to the staff that were still here and retain who we could. And
we made sure to tell every single person that.
Oh my God, we'd get a call and people would be like,
chicken would not be going anywhere.
Can we interview you? And we would say, only if you will make sure this is in the first 2 paragraphs.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll talk about that here in a second. We will. Because, more things that did not change.
We had people calling us just in a panic. Yeah.
Literally.
You listen to me right now.
Yeah.
Don't you dare touch
Don't you dare touch this menu item.
Yeah.
And it's very warranted. And same thing with the, we always joke about the decor being like Eureka chic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's very Hannah and Ben, but it feels like very familiar to us, very comfortable to us too. So we just changed things slowly and worked in the framework that was already there. It wasn't broke, so why fix it? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've danced around it. Let's talk about food. We'll do that next. We also have the Mike Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and that's next right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Connect with us at Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook and Instagram, or by email at flavorsofnwa@gmail.com.
And welcome back. It is now time for the Mike Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and for that, we're going to Reese. What you got?
Okay. Well, I imagine everybody's gone to a fancy cocktail bar or restaurant and seen saline solution on the menu in a drink. No?
No, please.
Saline solution? Well, what we do here and what I do at home is I just add a pinch of salt to my syrups.
Okay.
And that does, it's a very approachable, easy way to have the same effect. So just make sure. We should really salt everything if you prefer.
Sure. There's a famous Instagram bar guy, that Thirsty Whale, that he always says that saline solution makes it pop. And he claps. But it really does. It brings out flavors in drinks as well as food. So it definitely.
Yeah, so we salt our syrups.
Excellent.
Whenever you make a simple syrup.
Oh, that's a good tip. I like that tip. Okay. Yeah. All right. Salt your syrups.
Salt your syrups.
We'll be right back.
Your story doesn't have to end. As an organ donor, the good in you can live on. In fact, you can save up to 8 lives through organ donation. Sign up to give the gift of life after you're gone. You'll be happy you did. Just maybe, someone else will too. Sign up online today as an organ, eye, and tissue donor at organdonor.gov. It saves lives.
48,149. That was the total number of organ transplants that took place last year. That's a record. Also, a record is over 104,000 people on the registry to get a kidney transplant. Organdonor.gov is where you go to get signed up, making sure you're on there. I know a lot of people can also do it through the health app on the iPhone. Also, I did it at the DMV in Texas a million years ago, and I know here it's in Arkansas, the Department of Finance. Please go and get set up there. Please, please, please. As we said last week, upon your demise, you can supply 8 organs to 8 different people. It's unbelievable the effect you can have on families. Organdonor.gov, that's where you go to get signed up. Thank you so much. And we are back. Reese, Corey, guys, thanks so much. I appreciate you having me here. And I know it is time to talk food. And I know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this old saying, but back in the day, there were 2 people that had the recipe for Coca-Cola. And they could never be together. Because if one of them, if they were together and they were in a room and it blew up, we wouldn't have Coke anymore. Coke would be gone. Yeah. I want to know how you guys were given the recipe for the Korean fried chicken. Did you have to have it by courier, specially delivered with security, with handcuffs on the satchel and briefcase?
It's a little less dramatic than that.
Dang it.
Before we actually purchased the place, I worked here for a couple of weeks to help out.
Okay.
Ben and Hannah, they needed to hire somebody, but they didn't. They knew that we were about to purchase the place, and I was like, "Hey, I'll just step into that position."
Nice.
So it was handed to me on a guest check with the recipe.
Is that in a security box somewhere?
No, it lives with all of our other recipes that are
written on little guest checks.
We live and die by the guest check here.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's probably in the vault of Ben's mind as well.
Yes. Yeah. I'll never forget the recipe. I mean, it's up there for sure.
Excellent.
Well, you're having to make it sometimes twice a day. You get to learn it pretty well.
Well, and that was one of the things we were talking about as we were going to break. That was one of the things that I guess is never off the menu.
Nope.
It will never be off the menu.
It'll never be off the menu.
We promise.
Yeah. For people that haven't had it, tell me what's so special about it. I've had it. It's been a while. But what's so special about it?
Well, everybody loves crispy chicken. I mean, there's no one in the world that's
I'm
had
cauliflower.
a piece of chicken. I guess, people love the cauliflower too. That's true. Crispy cauliflower or crispy chicken. There's just something about it. And then the sauce is sweet and savory and spicy, and it's got all the elements that you want out of a good sauce. And it just pairs with chicken so well. And honestly, it was my go-to meal whenever I came here every time we'd
come in, we'd get a Mel's Diner, we'd get a KFC, then we'd get a to-go KFC and take it home. For the next day.
Love it. Oh yeah, of course.
Or just to snack straight out of the fridge.
Listen, all I've had here is the KFC.
Yeah, it's very good.
And I need to come back and not do it, but I can't. You got those places you go to and you've got your dish, and that's the reason you go there.
Yep.
I'm not good at trying other things at places where I need to try other things.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I've been a chef for a very long time, and I'm still very much a stickler in where I go and what I eat, and I would say 75-80% of the time I'm eating the same thing that I have eaten for however long.
Yeah. We still eat the KFC whenever we sit down.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Mel's Diner. Tell me a little bit about the Mel's Diner, because it's pretty unique.
That was another one that was born in the mind of Ben and Hannah, and however they came up with the idea to deep fry grits is beyond me, but it
cheesy garlic
hits. It hits
cheesy
really
garlic
good.
Breaded grits.
Yeah. There's just something about it. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
All of it together is just. It just makes sense, and you wouldn't think so. Reading it, deep fried. How do you even deep fry a grit? How do you do that? And,
I was thinking the same thing.
You know, the first time I had it, I was
It's
like,
magic,
how do you even make
There's
that
a magic
happen?
wand back there.
And it
Got a wizard in the back.
It really does. It's still to this day. I mean, if I take something home from the restaurant, it's usually a Mel's Diner and a KFC. It's
great.
95% of the time, that's what I end up having.
No complaints. No complaints there. Layers. Onions have layers.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a title to a dish. Go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously, it's a Shrek reference.
Yes.
That one was kind of born out of. We really wanted to kind of support Zelli Pasta.
Yeah.
There's some good folks, and they make a great product. And,
Absolutely.
I was like, you know, I'd really wanted to do something with onions because I feel like they're just underappreciated in a lot of places. And I thought, why not just make the entire dish out of onions? So it's a onion soupy with crispy onions on top.
Perfect.
It's got melted leeks, micro leeks. It's honestly, I mean, the
It's my
first
favorite
time.
menu item.
Yeah, the first time I made it, I was like, okay, this is gonna do really well.
That's great.
You either love it or you hate it, but I would say that 95%
If you're ready to love
of
onions,
people,
you should try it probably.
95% of the people that try it end up enjoying it a whole lot.
I grew up hating onions, everything about onions, and now it's one of my favorite things.
Yep.
And it's all because I learned to cook them at a restaurant that I worked at in college.
Yep.
Onion rings.
Yep.
And that was the whole thing. I finally had one because I've been making them for so long. I finally had one and I thought, oh crap, that's actually good. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die.
Prepare to die.
I was trying to do it without the accent because I could have, and I'd have gotten in trouble probably, but please, go ahead. Tell me about it.
That one actually started out as
It started
the
out
title.
as Corey saying, I want to make people say this at a table.
It did. I just recently, we had watched The Princess Bride with our daughter, and
We always have these moments where we're like, okay, is it time to show her this movie?
yeah, and it was time for Princess Bride.
It's a special movie to us.
And for several
Yeah.
weeks, that little line had played in my head here and there, and I was
so
like,
great.
when we were coming to writing the menu, I was like, okay, I just wrote it down on there as the title. It's like, okay, this is going to be the placeholder for this item.
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing a deep dive into Inigo Montoya and his fantasy world coming from Florida. It's not a country that exists, and he apparently his backstory was that he was very much into cognac and brandy, and so that's kind of where
Fits.
That's kind of where it came from.
Okay.
So it's kind
That's
of
how
a
it
play
fits.
on a steak au poivre, traditional French preparation, peppercorn sauce, but I kind of change it up a little bit. It's at its core, it's steak and potatoes, which I figure can't go wrong
In a roundabout way.
Yeah, and we always like to do something that's very approachable. Everybody
Sure.
knows what a steak is. Everybody
yeah.
knows what a potato is. But we give it a little bit of flair. We do a mixed peppercorn crust on the steak, and we do a truffle mashed potato. And then we have a brandy cream sauce that goes with it.
Yummo.
Some sauteed green beans.
Ooh.
You can't really go wrong with something like that.
It's funny, you say you named it that so you could hear people say that. I actually inherited a cat when I was in my 20s, and I named it Crackhead so that when I go to the vet, they would come out and say, Crackhead Engelman. I never took her to the vet, so that never worked. But anyway.
A lot of the names that are a little bit out there are mostly because I want to hear a customer say it to their server, or have a server say it to a customer.
And that's what's so great, because No Sleep Till Brooklyn, I mean, my Gen X heart is just all about that. Love that.
Ad Rock, and I think the other Beastie Boys have all kind of converted to veganism. I'm not 100% sure about that, but
Okay.
I know that they were a big proponent in being vegans, and so that is our vegan dish.
Interesting.
And it just kind of came out of that. Yeah, so we
It's great.
I always try and play on, something that's near to me or pop culture or, like I said, we watched the movie and that saying was stuck in my head for weeks, and I just happened to be writing a menu and wrote it down, I always try to have some sort of correlation between the menu item
Of course.
and what it's named.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of fun, we want to have fun with it, we came from fine dining where it was, half the time you didn't even know what the menu item was, it
Right.
was very staunch and very one word,
You bet.
And we kind of want I want the food to kind of tell a story, and the best way to do that is to start it with a story.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. And I was going to say, the aptly and perfectly named, because I know why it's named, The Dude Abides.
The Dude Abides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's the,
Ooh, sorry.
oh, hello. That did get loud.
Vitamix.
Okay. No, it's fine. But yeah, what was it? The Kahlua, I think that was in there?
Yeah, so
Okay,
Dude
yeah.
Abides, the Kahlua. Originally, I was going to try and do a White Russian whipped cream
Okay.
with it, and that's where the name came from. A Big Lebowski fan through and through.
Huge. I'm with you.
Love Big Lebowski.
Gonna go home and fix yourself a Caucasian.
So it just fit, and that's another one that that's another item that kind of doesn't leave the menu a little bit. That was kind of our
Nice.
first. I'll always say that I'm not really a baker by any means, but that was one that really fit for what we do. It's easy, and people who doesn't like a brownie with whipped
Yeah.
cream and the addition of
a dude
ice
with
cream.
van.
Yeah.
A hot brownie with ice cream is my wife's favorite thing, literally on the planet.
Who doesn't love that?
She would have it for breakfast.
I would eat it right now if someone brought
Yeah,
one to me.
honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt, no question about it.
So yeah, it was a match made in heaven, and you always throw in a little bit of something personal from our lives and what we like, and
Why not? It's your chance to.
the Dude Abide fits.
Love it. And you do the same thing with the drinks too. I'm just going to go through a couple of them here real quick, and you just pick whichever one you guys want. But there's the Amarillo by Morning, the Hottie Thotty.
Hot thotty.
The hot thotty, yeah.
What am I doing? Yeah, it's the Hot Thotty. Spelled Hout. I know, but it's hot. Hollaback Girl, which I had when I saw that. I've had that in my head a little bit. And I love the bottle of the house-made sangria.
Yeah, everybody loves the bottle of the house-made sangria.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big seller for sure.
Is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And non-alcoholic. The Bittersweet Symphony. Is it more sweet than bitter, bitter than sweet?
It's kind of an aperitif, digestive style drink, so it is bitter.
Both.
Okay.
But it is both.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, the shrub and soda,
Yes.
that caught my eye. Tell me a little bit about that too.
Well, if you don't know what a shrub is,
I
it's a drinking vinegar, which sounds horrible,
Yeah.
right? But it's really, a lot of times it's like macerated fruit, and then you mix in some apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
You're really only using like a tiny, minuscule amount of shrub, but it's something that's like acidic and sweet and tart and refreshing, and there's some complexity with the like letting it sit in the vinegar with the fruit and everything melds that just really hits.
There's
Yeah.
actually some commercial drinks out now. Poppy, is that right? They use
I like the probiotic stuff. And
they use apple cider
yeah, that
vinegar
makes sense.
as their tart element.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
so it's very refreshing, but it also feels good on your tum tum.
yeah.
Good. Excellent. And what was, I know I went through the craft cocktails pretty quickly there, but what's probably the most popular one? Or your favorite?
Well, that's a great question.
The Season of the Witch is a pretty great
Season of the Witch
seller.
is very popular. The Acropolis, though, I would also drink that gin martini if you put it in front of me right now, and I haven't had lunch yet, so.
Same,
you know.
and same.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Amarillo by morning. It touches my heart a little bit as an Oklahoma boy and country, you know. And it's just delicious. I'm a tequila mezcal kind of guy. So.
There you go.
Yeah. We've kind of gotten, we do a lot of collaboration on all the menus, definitely, but we've gotten to the point where almost every time the drink menu has been dreamt up, and I help name things or market things however we need to, but I haven't personally been making up any drinks for probably 3 menus now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So
that's a good thing, right?
Michelle came up with that Amarillo by morning, and it's very complex, and the tomatillo salsa in it is.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very good.
Ooh.
It's very good, honestly.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite things we've done. I mean, we've had a lot of really good ones. We have a lot of bangers.
I think Acropolis is my favorite of all time, though. It's like rosemary, peppercorn, simple syrup, and a gin martini, slightly dirty.
Love that.
I mean,
can't really go wrong.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong. So, if you want to get into onions, have the onion pasta. If you want to get into gin martinis, have an Acropolis.
Yes, for sure.
That sounds like a perfect night.
Actually, yeah. I've had that night many times. It's a perfect night.
Yeah.
You suck. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been a blast. I appreciate you having me, and appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
Where can folks find you? Like online, etc.?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the main place. Okay. You can find us, Leverett Lounge, Instagram handle. You can find Sidecar at Sidecar_Fayetteville, same on Instagram, Facebook. We have websites for both places, LeverettLounge.com, SidecarFayetteville.com. You can find Fyra at...
It's Fayetteville IRA on Instagram, and then FAYIRA.org for the website.
We always encourage people to go donate there. And,
yes.
There's a lot of folks that need our help. So
yes. Flavors of Northwest Arkansas. I'm going to get right on the microphone here. Flavors of Northwest Arkansas is on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm trying TikTok. I don't know that it's going that great, but I think we're kind of there too. We'll get it figured out at some point. I appreciate you guys very much. And please tip your servers. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.